Hey everybody, this is Shimmergloom coming back to you with another new battle report. This will be game one of another 3-game tournament at Atomic Empire. This tournament was designed to be like a practice tournament for Southern Assault, but you didn't have to have an army that was designed for Southern Assault. But it was using like the scenarios for Southern Assault. So my first game here is going to be against High Elves, and it's going to be a meat engagement. The only special rule here for this meeting engagement was that you could always place your general on the board. So even if it rolled to be off the board, you could still place it on the board, but it couldn't be in a unit unless you chose it to be in that unit at the start of the game, and that unit was not rolled to be in reserve. Now let's take a look at my army list. You'll notice under each part you'll see a little number in brackets. This is my Swiss army composition hit. It tells me how many points I'm losing towards my composition score. I'm able to do pretty good here in getting the things I want. Really the main thing I had to change is only not taking 2 Doom Divers, and I really think this hurt me a whole lot compared to just having 1 Doom Diver versus 2. But otherwise I have a lot of what I want. I was aiming to try to get around a 10 and I got 9.5, and that rounds up to a 10, so I thought that was pretty good. Now let's take a look at my opponent's army. He's using High Elves. And he's not going to be taking this army to Southern Assault. He's going to be taking warriors. So I'm not really sure what his score would have been. I think there was about 8 people at the tournament. About half of them were taking Southern Assault list, and I don't know about the other half. But he has a lot of new stuff here. Trying out a lot of the new toys for High Elves. And we'll be looking here at deployment. And I won the roll-off to deploy first. And when I was rolling for my reserves, it was terrible. My big unit that had my BSB and an Orc Big Boss rolled to be in reserve. Also, 1 unit of Wolf Riders and my big unit of Trolls were also in reserve. Since I wanted my general to be in that big unit, I didn't want to put him on the board in one of these little goblin units without having any big heavy hitters on the board with it. I decided to keep him in reserve too, so I basically start off the game with nothing but goblins on the table and 1 single troll. Now let's look at my opponent's deployment. He rolled for everything in his to be on the table. He had nothing to be in reserve. He has a few proxies here, so let me explain what they are. The wolves, you'll see, these are really Reaver Knights, and his 1 unit of real Reaver Knights have a champion. That's the only real difference. He's using Phoenix Guard as his white lions, and he's using that dragon as his Frost Phoenix, and the 2 Chaos Chariots are Tyrannic Chariots. And he has 2 little blue eagles that are like, I think like miniature dragons or something, but he's using those as his eagles. And you'll notice in this deployment that if you remember my last battle reports where I was playing Empire and that Sphinx was in the way from my Empire opponent, well, it's in the way this time for me, and it's kind of splitting my forces off. That's going to make it kind of difficult for me to bring anything towards him because there's a river and then there's the Sphinx there. That's really going to hurt my forces being able to gang up on his. My opponent failed to take the initiative, so I will be starting off with the first turn. And first we'll see a couple of different close-up looks of some of my movement. I brought my big unit in. The one thing I think I really did wrong is I put my trolls on the right side of the Sphinx, and I should have put them probably on the left side of the river, and then had my general and BSB within 12 inches on the other side of the bigger unit instead of being on that side closer to the Sphinx. Having the trolls on the other side of the Sphinx really hurt me a lot on being able to try to maneuver them towards the High Elves, and I was just thinking about having them matched up against the Dragon Princes, and I really should have been thinking about having them matched up against either the Frost Phoenix or the Silver Helms. And so as we go into the rest of my movement, my troll actually passed stupidity rolling double 2s, so I charged that at one of his chariots, and otherwise I charged my Ragnarok. It can see one of his Reaver units that vanguarded up onto the hill. I charged that. He decided to flee, and not only did they flee off the table because they fled through his other 2 Reaver units, but it also panicked one of those Reaver units, and that unit fled off the table. So I started off the game having 2 of the 3 Reaver units off the table. So that was really great luck for me. Besides the troll already passing stupidity. Other than that, when I got into Magic, I was able to kill 3 Silver Helms with a Foot of Gork. But then I rolled a 1, and he put it on my biggin unit, but it scattered very well and scattered completely off my biggin unit, so it didn't hurt me at all. Going into shooting, one of my chuckers misfired and couldn't shoot this turn or the next. My Doom Diver, of course, misfired and blew itself up. So I really did nothing in shooting except for I killed, I think, one Reaver Knight with some chuckers that were on the far right. Going into combat, my troll was able to do 2 wounds to his chariot. I broke the chariot, which you'll see here, but the chariot got away. Let's see, other than that, I think that was the only combat. So we'll be going into High Elf turn 1. One more thing I want to mention for my turn. During Magic, I was able to get Hand of Gork off of my Ragnarok, and I moved that from out in front of my trolls to the other side of my little Night Goblin unit. I also wanted to get that Ragnarok away from his Dragon Princes. So as we go into High Elf turn 1, he charges 1 chariot at a Chukka, his Frost Phoenix at the next Spear Chukka, and he doesn't take any damage from the river. He charges his Silver Helms at my Wolf Riders. He charges an Eagle at a Spear Chukka on the far right, but he fails that charge. And the rest of his movement, he lands his Reaver Knights on 1 Mangler, and they kill each other. So I figured that's a decent enough trade, because the Reaver Knights are worth a little bit more than a Mangler Squig, but I mainly had those Manglers there to try to counter any of his Reaver Knights that I figured would be coming after all those War Machines I had on that side. Going in his magic, he cast like his signature spell for metal at my Goblin on the Gigantic Spider, and he got it with irresistible force. He killed my big boss in the spider, but his miscast was he did a wound to his Lore Master and killed 5 or 6 White Lions. So I'm not sure if that's a good trade for me, but it really cut down those White Lions a lot, so that I was a lot less worried about them. He also rallied his 1 chariot here at the edge. Going into shooting, I think both his repeater bolt throwers shot at my Ragnarok, and they did no damage to it. And when we're going into combat, his chariot destroyed 1 Spear Chukka. His Silver Helms destroyed my Wolf Riders, but then his Frost Phoenix only killed 1 crew from that Spear Chukka. I was on double 4s with a reroll, and I made it. So my Spear Chukka held off that Frost Phoenix. So I've been having a whole lot of good luck in this first turn. Going into Orc and Goblin turn 2, I start off my troll here by himself. He fails stupidity. Other than that, I really have no other animosity fails. So going into charges, I completely forget to charge my big ends at his Frost Phoenix. It's sitting right in front of them. I don't know what I was thinking. I just completely forgot. I'm sure I could have seen the back of it with my line of sight. I even had the line of sight there sitting there. I put there afterward to see if I could, once I had forgotten, see if I could see it, and I knew I could see it. I don't know what I was thinking. Also, I do charge my Ragnarok as Dragon Princes, but it fails the charge. And that's pretty much all my charges there. Going into compulsory, I'm able to get my remaining Mangler to go through one of his eagles, and it destroys the eagle. And even though it's kind of wild behind my lines now, I just figured I either kill it or it's going to kill me, or maybe it'll charge my Rock Lava later and then destroy the Rock Lava. Going into magic, I really don't get anything off. I try to think of headbutted his Lore Master, but it really does nothing to it. I needed to hurt that Lore Master because I already had 1 wound on it. Maybe I could try to kill it. Going into shooting, I forgot in the first turn I had a direct hit on his Frost Phoenix with my Rock Lava, but I rolled a 1 to wound. And this time, the one bad thing about my Spirit Chukka holding from the previous turn was that I couldn't shoot my Rock Lavas and at the Frost Phoenix. So instead, I just put the Rock Lava on one of his repeater bolt throwers. I got another direct hit and destroyed the repeater bolt thrower. So I mean, I've gotten 2 direct hits in a row. So again, I'm having a lot of good luck here at the beginning. Other than that, when we go into combat, his Frost Phoenix does kill my Chukka this time. Going into High Elf turn 2, he charges his chariot at my single troll, and he charges the Dragon Princess at my Ragnarok. And he also charges his silver helms at my second Wolf Rider unit that I was using to try to. I was just trying to slow those silver helms down as much as possible, to try to wear down as much of his other stuff as possible before I had to worry about those silver helms. And I really wasn't doing anything in magic to really hurt them like I was hoping to. Going to his magic, I really don't know what he gets off. He does something that wounds himself again. So now he's got 2 wounds. So he miscast doing something, but I can't remember exactly what it was. Going into shooting, his repeater bolt thrower, I think it just shoots at my biggins and it might kill 1 maybe. So then we go into combat. His chariot destroys my single troll. He had also landed his remaining eagle on my remaining mangler and destroyed that. Then his dragon princes come in. I think his champion had a magic weapon to give him strength 6 or something. I don't know exactly what it was. I can't really remember. He does 2 or 3 wounds on my Ragnarok, and I do absolutely nothing to his dragon princes. I'm stubborn, but I break and run on, and then he destroys my Ragnarok. This panics my little Night Goblin unit. They flee, but they do not panic my Wolf Rider chariot, not my Wolf chariot, which stays. So things are starting to really turn for me now. I just can't believe I didn't charge that Frost Phoenix, because now everything here is going to be able to gang up on my biggin unit without, instead of me being able to take them on one at a time. Going into Orc and Goblin turn 3, my trolls can see the rear of his dragon princes, so I charge at his dragon princes and he flees and gets away. I charge my biggins at his chariot. I think about charging my goblins at his silver helms, but I'm a little bit worried that if I do break, then he'll be able to get his silver helms right onto my biggins right off the bat. And I was kind of hoping I could move march my goblins up enough so that he couldn't wheel around them, but unfortunately when I do march them, it's not enough and he can wheel around them. When we get into magic, I get a hand of Gork off my trolls and I'm able to move them in front of the Sphinx, and I can at least block the white lines from coming right on into my biggin unit, but I was kind of hoping I'd roll better and be able to get my trolls moved over more so that I could have them in front of my biggins and try to stop him from double charging me with his Phoenix and his white lines. Otherwise, I rally my Night Goblins earlier, and going into shooting, my Rock Lava does nothing. When I shoot at his Frost Phoenix, again I hit. I wound this time, but then he makes his ward. During his magic, I think he was able to give his Frost Phoenix a 4+ ward. Other than that, my Chuckas, they do nothing. So we go right into combat. I destroy his chariot, and I don't destroy his chariot. His chariot breaks with 1 wound left. I choose not to pursue because I don't want to present my flank to his silver helms. But then he flees through the river and he fails his dangerous terrain and destroys his chariot anyway. So we're going into High Elf turn 3, and you'll see in this first picture, this is the deciding factor of the game. I can no longer hold off all his big heavy hitters. So he charges his Phoenix, his silver helms with both his big characters and his chariot into my biggin unit. And there's really no point in me fleeing because I'm at the table edge because I was trying to hold him off as long as possible. He also charges his white lines at my goblins. I go ahead and flee them out of the way because I figure if he keeps pursuing them, then he'll be presenting his flank to my trolls, and if somehow my trolls can break them, then in my turn, assuming my biggins don't run, I can be in the flank of his Frost Phoenix. But he goes ahead and redirects into my trolls. Basically, he's sacrificing them, hoping I can't kill them all, and he'll pass his stubborn test, so that it'll hold off my trolls longer from able to support my biggins. So otherwise, in his magic phase, I really don't think he does anything. His magic doesn't really help him at all. Going to his shooting, I'm not even sure what his Spirit Chucker shot at, but it really wasn't much for it to shoot at. So basically, we just have the big combat here, and this is going to show you what it looks like after combat. The good news is my trolls kill his lower master, and they kill almost all his white lines, and that's the bad part because he has 1 white line left, and that holds from being stubborn, and it keeps my trolls from being able to you know, see, because I can see his Frost Phoenix, so I can't charge his Frost Phoenix in my turn just with that one single white line. But then going into combat, he just rips into my being. As you can see, he takes a complete rank away from them. I do no damage to his Silver Helms. I do maybe one wound to his Frost Phoenix, and I think I do one more wound to his Chariot, which had 2 wounds on it, so it's down to its last wound. I am still steadfast, so I passed that check, and so I'll be sticking around for at least one more turn. So Orc and Goblin turn 4, and we're really getting into it now. Basically everything we have is engaged. The only thing I really had to do is I rally my little Goblin units. So I basically rally both my little units. Going into magic, I try to get Fist of Gork off of my Great Shaman. He dispels that, but I do get Airy go off on my unit. I would have liked to have both of them, but you know, I guess one's better than nothing. I was pretty sure I'm toast here at this point. Going to shooting, I don't really think I do anything. There's really nothing to shoot at other than his repeater bolt thrower. And then we go into combat. I kill his last white line. I reform to face his Frost Phoenix, just in case somehow I'm able to win this combat. And so then we have this combat, and of course here as you can see, he destroys me. I am able to destroy his single Chariot, so I get something. I think I only kill one knight, his Silver Helm unit, out of 2 combat phases. At least it doesn't panic my little Goblin unit. They're just like super brave for some reason. A lot braver than my big ones. It always turns out that the little bitty tiny Goblin units always do better than your big Orc units. So I run off the board. He pursues me, and the only reason I don't concede at this point, I wanted to, but I realized that we're getting Southern assault points. So if I concede, it becomes a 16-4. They don't have 20-0. So, but at this point in the points total, I think it's a 13-7. And if I concede, he gets a 16-4. If I keep playing out, I might be able to get 3 more points. So we decided just to play a couple more turns, and he's going to see what he can kill of his and what I can kill of his. What I can kill of his and what he can kill of mine. And this is the end of Orc and Goblin turn 5. My trolls have failed stupidity. In his turn, he basically just flies his Frost Phoenix up so that he can charge something, and he shoots at my Chariot and he misses. So that's basically all he does in his turn. And when we go into my turn, I charge my Chariot at his repeater bolt thrower, and I'm able to destroy it. And now we have the bottom of High Elf turn 5. He decides to charge his Frost Phoenix at my Rock Lava, and that's pretty much all he has to do. He destroys my Rock Lava easily. It doesn't punish my Night Goblins, and so at this point we decide not to play a turn 6 because he can't really get any more points out of me in turn 6, and I really can't do anything to him unless I somehow am able to hit his Frost Phoenix and kill it. Which, you know, I don't really see how. It's not going to change the score. Right now it's a 14-6. And I really can't get it back to 13-7. And so there we have it. It's a 14-6 victory to the High Elves. I do think the reserve rule kind of screwed me again a little bit. But I should have put my trolls on the other side of that river instead of the opposite side of the Sphinx. And then I do the very, very stupid thing. For some reason, I do not know why I did not charge that Frost Phoenix. I think part of me was thinking about putting the Silver Helms on my flank, but I could always just combat reform. I do not know why I did not do that. And so, you know, this supposed to be firmly in last place right now at this point in the tournament, but spoilers, this High Elf player actually wins this tournament, so at least I get to be part of history. And that brings us to the end of another battle report. Join me next time. We'll be playing Blood and Glory against vampire accounts. I'd like to thank everybody for viewing, and be sure to subscribe and give a like to this if you like it, and give me any comments on anything I might improve. Thanks again, and see you next time.